Welcome to Podio Academy. This is Podio 101 Tasks, and this session will be a self-help resource to help you work smarter and to make most out of what Podio offers, as is the continued series. So, as Podio is very flexible. There's a lot of features, that are overutilized or even underutilized. A lot of powerful ways to grab and get the tool to benefit you and your team, but tools that involve task management, projects, deliverables, a lot of dependencies. There's a lot to consider there. So in this session, we'll walk through 3 core ways to manage tasks inside of Podio, each with their own strengths. So let's take a look at the training topics. We'll start with the built-in tasks feature. This will be ideal for quick assignments, personal to-dos. We'll explore how you build custom actions app or tasks app. So something that's a little more scalable and structured to manage action items across projects or people or departments. And finally, we can look at how you can create tasks from your email inbox. Perfect for capturing work on the go if you don't have Podio pulled up, although it is a web application. If you're out, you need to forward yourself something. There are other avenues to do that. So let's go ahead and dive in. I am logged into my Podio account here. So we'll focus on the native task feature first. Logged into the app. One thing I do want to note up on this help and support section that we have lovely keyboard shortcuts that you can look at. But if I'm ever logged into the app real quick, a little tip that I have is just hit the letter T on your keyboard. Granted, you have this window selected, and that will just pop open the basic task feature as well. We do have the general My Tasks section up here that I can click on as well. But let's go back to where I was. So I'm gonna hit T. I got a task pulled up here. In this case, I can talk about how you can create just a quick, due date, assign it to a user. So let's call this call customer for project. Now I can choose to assign it. Default will be myself up top, but I can also assign this to other people in my inventory. Choose a due date, choose a due time. You can also set for these to repeat or to have reminders if you want to be reminded prior to the due date. And you also choose when you're creating tasks, if it's at an organization level, if it's at a workspace level, where do these tasks live? What are they assigned to? So it's good to understand when you're doing that. Do I need repeating meetings, weekly reviews, maintenance checklists? Am I just assigning something quick to my colleague? What is it specifically that I'm trying to get across here? And then the last is labels. So these will all be things that you can search by later, which we'll look at here in a second. So I'll say this. Now, if I did have a specific project or item that I was looking for, this is contextual search within, so you can see it's searching through items, apps, so on and so forth. So I could also just tie it to a record from here, but granted, I'd probably want to be at that item in Podio, or I could also create a task. In this case, do I want to make it private so it's only visible to me because it is associated with an item in Podio, or do I want to make it shared so that everyone can see it? So let's say that I create this simple task for myself. It is associated with that item that I just created. We'll also notice if we navigate to the item. So I navigated to that item in Podio. You can see that the task lives there. I created it, but I associated it here. So it just takes me into the details. I can have comments. But as you can see, I do not have the ability to customize the fields. So I can follow the updates, so on and so forth. As well, we do have the My Tasks page. So My Tasks, this is when you click that checkbox up top on the icon. This is like the main dashboard, the personal dashboard for tracking tasks that are assigned to you. Back to that point, I can also create a task here. So as I start typing, words, it will open up that box and you'll see all the same features that we just saw when I hit the letter T earlier. I can also see tasks that I've delegated to other people. As we can see, this is referencing information. I can go in and update information in here as well. I can see all the tasks I've completed. I can see everything that's been completed in my organization because I am the organization owner, so things that I have access to. As well, you can search it and filter down by due date, by organization. If you're a part of multiple organizations in Podio, I can review tasks by workspace, by app, or even by label. So labels are great if you want to have some kind of tagging that you can look up. Again, we're not offering customization to the field type, so what you see is really what you get when you're creating a task with assigning it, text, a date field, the ability to have reminders, the ability to relate it to something, the ability to attach files, labels, and give some information. So definitely a great high-level feature that you have access to. But let's talk about when your team starts managing a lot of deliverables or when you need to report on task progress or status. Here I can only really check it on or off. So we want some kind of tool that is a little more powerful. And this is where many Podio users level up. They'll create more of a task app or an actions app. And I would like to point out, again, back to this icon to help and support. There's a great article here on using an actions app for tasks or overview of tasks. These are very popular topics, so this is a great video. I do have these resources pulled up, which is great. But this does give you more idea contextually of why you would want to get something like this set up. It's pretty straightforward. You should understand what you're getting yourself into here. But with a tasks app, you can basically customize more. So let's say that, let's say that I want to go back to here and I want to go into this workspace. I have an app here for actions that are a little bit more tied into just a standard task. And in that case, if I click into it, this is just like building any template or any app in Podio. So I'll hit the wrench icon, modify template. Really the only driver is, okay, yes, I can customize the fields. I can give someone responsible. I can assign due dates, but I now have the ability to add potentially statuses, which in some cases, some people use labels. If there's images, if there is more work that has to go down. So you have to think about how you're breaking apart the actions. If it's just a quick check on, check off, a task is great. If it has more dependencies, more of an actions or deliverables type app might make sense, as it's going to be a little more scalable. You have more customization to it. And at the end of the day, if I click into one of these actions, I can still create a task because obviously tasks live at every level, at an item level, at an app level, at a workspace level. So tasks are always going to be associated with everything that you're doing. So choose wisely how you want to go around doing that. A good example here is, let's say you're doing client onboarding, and as soon as a new client app is created, a workflow might want to generate a list of quick tasks of things that you want to do or assign or get prioritized or track. And so I always challenge when I'm working with customers, really map out what those dependencies are and determine if there's more of a progress tracking or something that you can just check on or off. But there's a lot of different ways that you can even get creative with workflows if you're on advanced licensing to automate the creation of tasks, or even to complete tasks if an item is marked as complete. So something else to look at in a more advanced course, but you can also get these things automated versus having to manually create them. Now, speaking of manually creating them, there is that last portion I mentioned, which is doing it through email. So let's talk about managing Podio tasks from email, because there's definitely a lot of work out there. So from the task option, we do have this create a task from email here, which is providing me with an address or a VCF file that I can add to my address book, or I do have my Google accounts already associated here. So I've added it to my account station of automation. So I can go in and compose an email, and I'll just type it in. And here it is. It actually gave itself that name. And so the way that this works is the subject is the title, the body is going to be the description of the task. There is not more that we offer at this point, like assigning a deadline or a time or labeling it. Right now, this would just be, let's do task for demo. And we can say, hey, great job. All right, so I can send this in, and what it will do effectively is, let me refresh, and it will just create a task for me. So let's give it a second to roll in. Task for demo. So as you see, it came in pretty cut and dry, but now that it's in my account, I can come in and, furthermore add labels, assign it to someone else, so on and so forth. I could also, if I needed to assign a task to someone else, I would need to make sure that I had their own unique username in order to do that. So this is perfect when you're wanting to quickly forward a request or something that you can follow up on later, having the understanding that you're going to be logging into Podio. So you can always create app items as well via email in some cases. So it's not just tasks, but as you're interacting with apps, this email forwarding mechanism comes very handy as well. So if you're looking at other avenues of creating data inside Podio, I would definitely advise looking into that. But in this case, we're just talking about tasks. So that should do it for the topic of tasks. Which one is right for you? I guess that's going to depend on the use case. So again, figure what your flow is, map it out. You're going to use native tasks for quick actions and reminders. You'll want to build a tasks app when you need to structure a little more, have fields, further deeper relationships, reporting, and don't forget about the email option as well. So great way to get things done. And definitely a ton of options, whether you want simplicity, whether you need more control. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. So good luck with your planning. Let us know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, feel free to check out more of our Podio Academy sessions and visit our docs.sharefile.com, as you see in the Help Center articles, which then you can tie yourself in to the Podio product and move on from there. And you'll have more tutorials, more guides, more examples. And thank you very much. We'll see you next time.